On January 11, 2013, the school day at Lowndes High School in Valdosta, Georgia, began like any other. But what was discovered in the gymnasium that morning would change everything. 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson, a student-athlete known for his quiet nature and athletic talent, had been missing for over 24 hours. His parents had reported him missing the day before when he failed to return home. That morning, a group of students entered the gym and noticed something strange, a pair of white socks sticking out from inside one of the large, rolled-up wrestling mats. These mats were stored upright in a corner of the gym. When school officials investigated, they made a horrifying discovery. Kendrick Johnson's body was found headfirst inside the mat, wedged deep into the tight cylinder, with his feet sticking out the top. His face was swollen. Blood was found on his face and around the mat. The scene was immediately cordoned off, and the sheriff's office was called in. Authorities moved quickly. Within hours, investigators concluded that Kendrick's death was accidental. They stated that Kendrick had likely dropped one of his shoes inside the upright mat and, in an attempt to retrieve it, climbed on top and slid in headfirst. He became trapped, unable to move or call for help, and eventually suffocated. To support this theory, the shoe in question, a black and white sneaker, was found beneath Kendrick's feet at the bottom of the mat. Another shoe and a hoodie were found near his body. The official autopsy confirmed the cause of death as positional asphyxia, but from the very beginning, Kendrick's family refused to accept the explanation. They knew their son. He was over 5 feet 10 and weighed nearly 160 pounds. How could someone of his size simply fall headfirst into a mat opening that measured just 14 inches across and not manage to escape? Why would he climb onto the mat in the first place when students normally just tip the mats over to retrieve items? The family's doubts quickly turned into action. Kendrick's parents, Jackie and Kenneth Johnson, hired an independent pathologist to perform a second autopsy after their son was buried. When the body was exhumed, they were faced with another disturbing discovery. Kendrick's internal organs were missing. In their place was a newspaper stuffed inside his body cavity. The funeral home claimed that the organs had been removed and discarded during the first autopsy due to advanced decomposition. The use of newspaper, they said, was a standard, although questionable, practice in body reconstruction. But for many, this revelation only deepened suspicion. The second autopsy, conducted by Dr. William Anderson, found something shocking. Kendrick did not die from suffocation. He died from blunt force trauma to the right side of his neck, an injury that, according to report, was consistent with being struck by a blunt object. As the controversy grew, so did public interest. People began asking questions. Why had the scene not been preserved better? Why were no fingerprints taken from the mat? Why were the bloodstains found nearby not tested? And perhaps most significantly, what happened to the surveillance footage from the gym? The Johnsons and their legal team requested all video from the school's security system. What they received was suspiciously edited. Entire hours of footage were missing. Camera angles glitched or skipped time frames. Kendrick is seen entering the gym, but the footage that would have shown what happened afterward is gone. The FBI eventually examined the video and said the gaps were due to syncing issues among the cameras, but many weren't convinced. Attention then turned to two students at Lowndes High School, brothers who were said to have had a history of conflict with Kendrick. Their father happened to be an FBI agent. Rumors circulated that Kendrick had been involved in a fight with one of the brothers months earlier. Online speculation exploded, accusing the family of having ties that allowed them to cover up the crime. The brothers were questioned but never arrested. They denied involvement, and no physical evidence linked them to the scene. In 2014, the Johnson family filed a $100 million wrongful death lawsuit, accusing 38 individuals, including school officials and law enforcement, of conspiring to cover up Kendrick's murder. The case was eventually dismissed, but it already brought national attention to the mysterious circumstances of Kendrick's death. In June 2016, the U.S. Department of Justice announced that after a lengthy investigation, it would not file any federal charges in Kendrick Johnson's case. The decision was based on what they called insufficient evidence. For many, this felt like the final nail in the coffin of any hope for justice. But the Johnson family wasn't done fighting. In March 2021, a new sheriff in Lowndes County reopened the investigation after receiving new documents from the family. 17 boxes of case files, photographs, and reports. After a year of review, the sheriff once again closed the case in 2022, stating that no new evidence of foul play had been found. He insisted that Kendrick's death remained a tragic accident. But for many Americans, especially within the Black community, the case of Kendrick Johnson represents something more. It's a chilling example of how quickly a death can be ruled accidental, how evidence can be lost or ignored, and how justice can remain just out of reach when too many questions go unanswered. To this day, Kendrick's family believes he was murdered, and that the truth is being hidden. They continue to push for answers. So what really happened in that gym? Was it an accident? A calculated cover-up? Or something more complex than we'll ever fully understand? The only thing that's certain is that Kendrick Johnson's story is far from over.